Today on Judge Faith, the needle is off the record in this DJ versus DJ dispute.
Even though he still didn't pay me for December and the rest of the part payment for November and January, and he was ducking and dodging me, he still sent me on gigs.
We give you a job and you stab us in the back like that?
You also, if you're gonna send him out on gigs, you have to pay him for those gigs.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Cassius Montgomery says his former employer didn't pay for his services as a DJ. He is suing for back pay. Defendant Stephen Corbett is countersuing, saying his former employee didn't show up for gigs, defamed his company, and stole his clients. He is accompanied by his employee, Lakeisha Patterson.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, we have Montgomery versus Corbett.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, Mr. Cassius Montgomery.
Cassius, yes, how you doing?
Good. You are suing the defendant, Stephen Corbett, for $3,000 for unpaid wages, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Corbett, you are countersuing for $5,000 for stolen clientele, lost wages, and defamation?
Yes.
And you also brought a witness with you today, Miss Lakeisha Patton?
Yes, Your
Okay,
Honor.
you can have a seat, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
So, as I understand it, Mr. Montgomery, you worked for the defendant as a DJ?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so why don't you start with telling me about your case?
Okay, I started off DJing back in 2000. I was doing clubs and Sweet 16s and weddings or whatnot.
How did you get involved in DJing?
Just had a love for music and just anything that has to do with music, I just love the vibe of it. Fast forward to December 2012. I got a call from Steven asking me to DJ a Christmas party at this nursing home, and I did it, and we began a business relationship from there on.
Okay, so you have a DJing business.
Yes, ma'am.
And you heard of the plaintiff and hired him as sort of an independent contractor to come out and work for you?
Yes, Your Honor. This particular guy was unemployed in 2012. We hired this guy. We nurtured him, we trained him, we brought him around.
When you say we, you're talking about your business?
When I talk about Black Tie Fairs, we are a company. As a snake, he slandered the business and destroyed the company.
When he says slander, there's no such
Sir, hold on a second, sir. Tell me about your company. When did you start it?
We started Black Tie Fairs back in 2012. And I've done professionally trained as a DJ, done about 1,000 weddings myself. And we've done backyard parties, barbecues, Sweet 16s, you name it.
Okay, where are you based?
Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, do you have a DJ name?
Yes, my name is DJ Cashback.
Cashback?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I know I don't say it with the same swagger that you do, but okay.
That's okay.
And so you heard about DJ Cashback and you decided you wanted to hire him and use him in your company.
No, he was interviewed prior to. He wasn't automatic that way.
He trained me for 2 weeks, and then he said that I was ready to go out on my own.
What does your training consist of?
Figuring out, filling the accounts and the residents and just knowing what to play and how to present myself to the accounts and stuff.
And is that what you do for all the DJs who come to
There's a
work
system.
for you?
It took him about 6 months to learn the process. It wasn't 2 weeks.
6 months? It wasn't 2 weeks?
He trained and shadowed all the entertainers that work for me. He shadowed them, he videotaped them, he studied them, we nurtured him, we brought him along.
So when did you send me by myself, Steve?
So hold on a second, sir. So when you say this training, because when I think of a DJ, I think of someone standing at turntables playing music. But what else why do they have to be trained for 6 months?
It's a little different. It's a little different. It's like a music and dance therapy. You have to actually get the seniors to move their arms and their legs. We have a routine that we work with them for at least 30 minutes per session. So DJs that may come, it's almost like I know how to cook hamburgers, but McDonald's has a specific way to cook their Big Mac. We have a specific way that we deliver our entertainment to the nursing homes. You can't just come in and spin music. Anybody can do that, Your Honor.
Okay, so you actually target nursing homes, and you have a clientele that's a lot of nursing homes?
Exactly. That was our market, that pretty much we created. We target the therapy aspect of it.
Right.
Because
okay.
there's a physiological, psychological, and therapy that goes along with trying to bring memories back with Alzheimer's patients, as well as people that have not moved in years. And
Right.
then we've come and played a record or two, and they've actually gotten up and moved their arms and legs better than the physical therapy department.
That's nice. I like to hear about people going into nursing homes and working with the elderly. Did you bring a video?
Yes, I have a video
an example? Okay,
right now.
let's look at it. Now, what are we looking at here?
Right now, this is Lakeisha Patton working at one of the homes that we serviced for 5 years. That's in Cassius Montgomery's hands now, and she's working with them, getting them involved, making them, feel good about themselves, dancing with them.
Stephen, could you let them know who's there videotaping that?
Yeah, like I said, we had you shadow Keisha and videotape it, and that's how that was part of your training.
Okay, so tell me, sir, what month and year you began working with the defendant?
December of 2012.
And when did that relationship terminate?
January 2014.
Okay, tell me what happened.
We was working and I was becoming a lot of requested. I was getting requested by a lot of the accounts. And instead of him sending me to the accounts, he would lie and tell them that I was sick. And then I would get a phone call from the activity directors and they would ask me why didn't I show up today? And I would say, oh, I'm off today. And they would tell me, oh, Stephen just said that you were in the hospital.
Well, I'm glad he brought that up, Your Honor, because I have a statement from one of the activity directors stating that he wasn't available on these days, and he was telling me that he did work those days. So he had a number of no-call, no-shows.
This lawsuit is about days that you say you worked
Correct.
that you were not paid for.
Correct.
So that's what I want to focus on.
Okay. The whole month of November, I worked, and I did what he asked me to do. He sent me out, and the way his payment process...
He sent you out a lot for different projects?
The way his payment process works is that he says that they get paid every 60 to 90 days. We get paid once a month, supposedly, because every month is different. And, I understood, and I took...
Approximately how many DJ jobs would you go out to do in 1 month?
I say between like 20 and 25.
Okay, and what was the agreement on how you would be paid for each gig?
Supposedly it's half.
Coming up on Judge Faith. Was somebody double dealing?
Is your relationship with him strictly business?
Yes, it was.
Okay, what do you think now?
Kind of found out they're supposed to be engaged.
Me and Steve basically started dating each other.
Plaintiff Cassius Montgomery is suing his former employer for back pay. Defendant Stephen Corbett says his former employee didn't show up for gigs, defamed his company, and stole his clients.
He was paying you in October.
Yes.
And you say, in your complaint, you say you did not get paid for November,
November, December, and January.
December, and January. You
And
received no payments for any gigs in those 3 months.
Correct.
Okay, is that true?
That is not true, Your Honor. Cassius was paid December 14th and December 24th for the November. Because the pay
He was paid for November on 2 dates in December?
Yes, December
What dates
14th
were those?
and December 24th.
Do you have proof of that?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see that, please? And you say that that is incorrect.
That's incorrect because December 1st, I was calling them, and the defendant has a problem with keeping his phone on, so with not being able to contact him, I tried multiple times to contact him through phone calls, text messages, Facebook. I even contacted his mother because that's
Is this I want you to look at this document and tell me if that's your signature on that document.
Yes, this is mine.
Okay, let me see
Now,
this.
you said you paid me for...
This is your evidence, correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I want you to explain to me why this money order is dated December 24th, 2013, but you have written on the money order that this is an October 2nd payment. What does that mean?
Because we are paid sporadically. We're paid 30 days after the event. We do get payments that are 30 or 60 days because activity directors
So could it be
hold
the
back.
case that this payment is actually for October 2nd?
Not that
For
particular
October?
payment. What happens is sometimes if there's a money order and I owe you for a particular month, the month will overlap to the next month.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
My issue with this is this money order says it's for October 2nd payment, and so I'm going to assume, sir, that this payment is not for November, that it is for October. What other proof do you have that you went on gigs and you weren't paid?
I turned in some evidence of the text messages of all the gigs through December. So even though he still didn't pay me for December and the rest of the part payment for November and January, he knew that he didn't pay me and he was ducking and dodging me. He still sent me on gigs, which I still completed.
And why
Your
would you
Honor,
do
he
that
said-
if you weren't being paid? Why would you continue to do work for
Exactly.
the defendant?
The
if
reason
you
why I
weren't being
continue doing it, because I enjoy doing what I do, because before I even started working for Steve, I was a caregiver and I was a registered nurse working with the residents before him.
Let me ask you, Mr. Corbett, why did there come a time period where you stopped paying the plaintiff, and what was that about?
He has a relative that works within the facilities that belongs to an organization with the other activity directors. She already knew he DJ'd because she told me he had a problem keeping a job. Once he got trained through us, she decided she wanted to give her relative the business. So he started training his guys on our accounts. So he was sending his guys out, getting trained without my permission after I told him that do not send anyone else
When did
other than
you
yourself.
say you found out about that?
My witness.
I'm sorry, you can step up, ma'am. But I'm asking you, when did you find out about it? Before she speaks to that issue, when did you say you first found out about that?
I heard rumblings about it in November, and we actually took him out to dinner to ask him about it, and he denied it.
Okay.
Now, Judge.
But you continue to employ him, and you continue to ask him to do gigs for you for months after that.
We had already had a demand
Judge.
established, Your Honor.
second,
We
please.
already had a demand established.
Okay, but you also, if you're going to send him out on gigs, you have to pay him for those gigs.
Yeah, but if he's not doing the gigs, which we found out and got evidence later, then I told him that he's not going to get paid anything. He didn't get paid for December, and he was fired in January.
You say you fired him, but you still owed him money for gigs, correct?
There was no money owed for December because he sent other DJs.
Any money, when you terminated the relationship, had you paid him for all the gigs that he went on your behalf? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
Okay, how much do you owe him?
First of all, there were dates that...
Sir, I'm asking you a question.
It
How
worked out
much
to be
do you
about
owe him?
$975 that would have been owed to him.
Now, he says it's more than that. You say it's $975.
Yes.
Why haven't you paid him the $975? You admit that you haven't paid him for his gig.
The reason he did not work these gigs, he sent his team
But were they covered?
prior to. He
were
wanted
they
to steal the
covered?
accounts, so he wanted to train his team.
But were
Okay,
they
and
covered?
when
He
is the
didn't do
first?
the accounts. He sent
But were they
somebody
covered?
When
else.
is the first time you say you learned of that, sir? Either one of you. By the way, what's your relationship with him?
I work for Steve. I've been working for Steve for
You
the
can
past...
stand behind the lectern.
Okay.
You can stand behind the
I've been
lectern.
working for Steve for the last 6 years.
Is your relationship with him strictly business?
Yes, it was.
Okay, what is it now?
Come to find out they're supposed to be engaged.
Yes. Just recently, within the last 2 months, me and Steve basically started dating each other. I'm just gonna be very honest with you, Your Honor.
Okay. And so he is your boyfriend.
Yes, now.
Are you engaged?
Yes.
Okay.
He wanted to look at his lips.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie about
I know
anything.
you're not. I'm talking about him. He
Man,
wanted
you're
to lie.
hilarious,
He wanted to
man.
lie.
We give you a job, and you stab us in the back like that?
Next on Judge Faith.
Cassius asked me to come in with him to do a Christmas party at one of the nursing homes that we go to on a regular. And I basically told Cassius, I can't do Steve like that. He may pay you late, but he do pay you.
Plaintiff Cassius Montgomery is suing his former employer for back pay. Defendant Stephen Corbett says his former employee didn't show up for gigs, defamed his company, and stole his clients.
Ma'am, please go on.
I received via phone call from Cassius Montgomery stating that he was going to take over 10 accounts that Black Tie Affairs own. And we've been going to these accounts doing Christmas parties, birthday parties, monthly. Some of the nursing homes have been weekly. And I basically told Steve about it. Cassius asked me to come in with him to do a Christmas party at one of the nursing homes that we go to on a regular. And I basically told Cassius, I can't do Steve like that. No matter me being upset with him or anything like that, he may pay you late, but he do pay you. I'm talking, please do not talk while I'm talking, please.
But if the nursing homes want to hire him individually over your company, what's the problem with
He
that?
signed a breach of it's a breach of contract.
What
What
contract did he sign?
contract?
It's a breach of contract that
Show it
he
to me.
signed, stated one of the employees for the company went to him, explained
In the beginning.
everything.
May I see the contract you're referring
Yes,
to?
ma'am.
So you're saying that you have some type of non-compete provision
Yes.
in a
Non-compliance,
contract,
yes.
and that he's not supposed to.
And it's not just, Your Honor, it's not just Cassius Montgomery, it's his team.
Would you show that to the plaintiff, please? Is that
It's
your
his
signature?
team that he's putting out of business. We all work together for
You
6
forgot
years.
you signed that?
Well, he's an independent contractor, sir. He's not an employee.
But we all are
That's
independent
me.
contractors.
I give him that then.
Okay. Is that one of the reasons why you say you didn't pay him the $975 you admit to owing
No,
him?
there were damages because of the 30 no calls and no shows that he received with his other DJs that he sent out. They got complaints, which
Sir,
amounts
did you
to
on
about
30 different occasions, did you send out other DJs in your place?
I don't believe it was 30.
How many times?
Probably like 10.
Okay.
Because a lot of the times when
Are you serious?
So serious. Oh, and to go back to when she said she actually wanted me to, the Christmas party that I asked her to help me DJ, she actually wanted to bring her son in. She was actually on board to do the gig, but instead, because her son they didn't have their own equipment, and she didn't have a car at the time, she said that she wasn't going to be able to do it. This was around the time
I
that
didn't have a car.
You didn't have.
all right.
Remember your
Are you
Miss
contract
Patton,
went out.
Miss Patton, you can have a seat. Thank
Please
you.
have a seat.
Okay, you can have a seat,
'cause
thank you.
I already
So-
know, 'cause you trying to. I know that's
Here are
your
the issues in
fiancé,
this
but don't
case.
take it there.
I also reviewed several messages, Facebook messages and text messages in this case, and all the way up to February of this year, the plaintiff, Mr. Montgomery, repeatedly asked you when he was going to get paid, and you respond, sir, I intend on getting you paid.
Yeah, I told you that when
Okay.
he left, when he was fired from the company,
Okay.
there was
So
a
the issue is how much.
$975 amount.
Here's I want to address something: this confidentiality, non-disclosure, and non-compete agreement. In order for me to find that it is a binding non-compete agreement on the plaintiff, 3 things have to happen. It has to be reasonable in time, geography, and scope. And in your non-compete agreement, all you say is that the plaintiff agrees not to compete with you. You put no time period on that. It's not legal for him to sign a document and say that he will never start his own DJing business in the area of Detroit, that he will never go out on his own and try to hang his own shingle and start his own business. You can't make someone agree to that, and that's what this agreement does. If you're going to have a non-compete agreement in your business and in your contracts, you have to put a time period on it. It has to be for 6 months or a year or some reasonable time period after the employee leaves your company. It also has to be reasonable in geography. It applies to a certain area and in scope. And what I'm saying to you is this clause is way too broad. You can ask someone to never start their own DJing business because of the simple fact that they worked for you, okay?
And now, Judge Faith rules.
You don't have a lot of evidence to show that you went to all these gigs and that you weren't paid for them, and you admitted when I questioned you about it that at least 10 of the gigs that you wanted compensation for, you sent other DJs, and you can't do that either. When someone is trying to run a business and they're putting their name and their image out on the line and they hire you to work for them, you can't send somebody else in your place. I know you're 23 years old and you're trying to make it in this industry, but Detroit is not that large of a city. You don't want to burn bridges, and when you say something and you give somebody your word that you're going to do something, you have to do it. You understand?
Excuse me, but Your Honor.
So on your counterclaim, sir, you have several issues. You have no valid non-compete agreement, no non-solicitation clause, no really valid written agreement between the two of you about what he's supposed to do in terms of his duties not to work for clients on his own outside of the time when he's working for you, and you admit to me that you do owe him money. So, sir, I do appreciate the work that you do. I think you do great work in the nursing homes. You're a DJ. I'm going to put this to you like Jay-Z would. Listen, I feel bad for your son. You got 99 problems, but he ain't one, all right? So your counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment in this case, $1,500 for the plaintiff. Good luck.